Welcome to the Founders Lounge, where business meets bullshit and everything in between. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Founders Lounge. This is where founders show real behind-the-scenes stories of their brands and of their personal lives. Got a good guest on the show today, Mr. Shaun Vaquez from Pride Foods. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, before we get into this, that hair, brother.
Yeah, man.
That's some flowing locks, man. I'm a little jealous.
I went down to Turkey like everybody else, I guess.
I couldn't grow my hair out like that right now if I wanted to.
You know, I've gotten more like compliments from guys. I mean, there's a few women here and there, but dude, guys don't hold back. Guys are like, if I could, I would.
That's because most of us can't grow lettuce anymore, man. Oh, shit.
Especially, I'm surprised that it I guess I never had an issue with hair, but after, a decade of pretty good bodybuilding, I'm surprised that I can still grow it like this.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it, man. Obviously, I wanted you on here to tell your story, your background, and bodybuilding experience, and then transition into business. So you are the co-founder, I guess, is a founder or co-founder with your wife of Pride Foods?
Yeah, we've both been at it. I've been, 99% handling it. When we first launched, she still had her corporate job, and she floated us as a family until, we started to pay myself. And so we floated 2 mortgages, a new baby, and all normal bills for about 2 years until I even knew what I was doing.
Man.
Yeah.
That's great, man. I love seeing things like that. Well, I guess start out with your background, bodybuilding days, and then we'll get into the business stuff for sure. But, we share a common denominator in the bodybuilding world. I think you were definitely a little bit more experienced and competed on a higher level than I ever did. I remember following you before, I ever met you. And, we have a mutual friend, Tony Friedrich. I think you coached under him or he coached you for a few shows. But talk about your past in the bodybuilding world for a little bit.
Yeah, I started, the first show was 2010. I was in college still. And I only did, I think, a total of 6 or 7 shows.
Really?
I didn't compete for that many times. I just was successful when we decided to compete. But I started here in Oklahoma. My wife was going to school here, and man, I've always been either strong or into working out from high school. When I got in the Army, I really it was more of a physique side of things, and then also just being super active in the Army. Running all the time, training, being around all the other guys. So I really got into like what would be considered bodybuilding when I was in the Army. And I never forget, I was going to school in North Texas, and I wanted to bodybuild, but I grew up, I love basketball. And every time I'd go train, I'd go and let me warm up. And I'd be 2 hours in between classes or after classes and just playing ball. Cause I loved it. It was like my little flow state, man. I always wanted to grow up and play for Duke. The problem is I just never grew up. I was never big enough.
Yeah, same.
And I just love watching the Duke North Carolina rivalry. Coach K was it was my jam. And so I loved basketball. And then one day I was just if I'm gonna be serious about this, I really finally realized I'm burning all these calories playing for 2 hours before I train, right? And so I was hey, I'm gonna play one more time, and that's it. And I played one more time. And that was my last time I played. And UNT has an amazing facility, and the basketball courts are connected to the gym. And then I started training seriously, and I never looked back. And I did my first show there. I won the novice, middleweight novice overall, and I took a close second in the light heavyweight. And started competing after that. I worked under Meadows. I'm sure you guys know John. And was really cool. Really enjoyed working under him. Shelby Starnes for a show, and then Tony and I got together, and Tony was really, really beneficial at that time for me because he really focused on hey, you need to have like your peaks and valleys. Like you're gonna push hard, but you need to take time off and like just come down. And we did that and won nationals in 2016, heavyweight and the overall. And I should have been more patient. I don't know. I decided to compete the next year, and rather than going to 212s, rather than going to the Open, I went to 212s, and I did one pro show, Dallas Europa, a stacked lineup. Like I think there was like 25, 30 212 guys. Sean Clarito was the victor there, and so
That dude's still going at it.
And he's still going at it. I think he probably was going at it way before I even started as well.
Crazy.
So first show 2010, last show 2017 pro debut, and I was already kind of working on some business stuff. Had some GI issues, and one thing left to another. My wife was pregnant about 6 months whenever I did my pro debut, and that chapter kind of closed on itself. But it was fun. It was good times. I started about my first show was like 178 pounds on stage, and getting ready. My heaviest getting ready for my pro debut was about 222, 223.
Whew.
So quite the transition.
Yeah, Tony coached my wife and I maybe 5 or 6 shows, I think. I don't remember exactly. And his process, it was one which I know you can relate. It'll almost damn near piss you off because it's so simple. It's boring, but it works. He wasn't one of those guys that kind of overcomplicated it, if you will. He was very cut and dry. Do this, do that. Don't mess around with all the other, exotic bullshit. Just follow ABCs. And it would get so mundane, you would get aggravated. But damn it, I don't know. I was in the best shape of my life coaching under him for sure. But the one thing I do want to point out for people listening, you said you went from winning a novice overall and then jumping into nationals and winning nationals. That's not an easy thing to do, especially then, because I don't really follow the sport, nowhere near as much as I used to. To be honest with you, I couldn't even tell you who's competing on a national level versus pros anymore anyway. But I know back then I followed it very closely, and the sport is so much different now than what it was before 2014 even, with social media and everything else, which is a whole nother topic. We could do a whole podcast on that. But,
Sure.
I don't think people really understand that kind of a jump and what that really took to do.
It wasn't until even I was out of it that I realized the amount of work. I mean, I just shut out the world, right? Like 0 dark 30, and that's all I did everywhere I went. And to do it in that amount of time is not. I do realize it's not that common. I try not to say it much because like I don't want to be self-aggrandizing, beating my chest, but 6-7 years is pretty quick to do it. And I put my body through the ringer, put some relationships through the ringer. But
sure.
Had that goal in mind, and it was never the goal to like win nationals, right? I had done USA's twice prior to that. I didn't really think I could go and compete at nationals. USA's is just as competitive, right, on the West Coast. But I just wanted to be my best, and then after I started winning a few, I was like, well, maybe one day in a decade, I could get a pro card, right? Like that was never the thing, and so to do that in that amount of time. There's a lot of sacrifice that went into it.
So let's transition into the entrepreneurship space. Why Pride Foods? How did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, so John had introduced me to Cream of Rice, Meadows, and his famous concoction bowl. At the time, social media was like starting to get really popular, specifically Instagram. Everybody's making their own concoction bowls with Walden Farms, Hershey's syrup, proteins, you name it.
They're all using all that.
The orange box, yeah. And I grew up in Southeast Texas. In Harvest, I was in and out of farms all the time. So I knew a little bit about like rice. And I started to search to see if I could source just the rice itself, to see if I could just do an unflavored. I had already previously wanted to do some other business ideas, and I went down that path because the idea was that we could get supplemental income. So when my wife got pregnant, she would go on maternity leave and then never go back. She could pack orders at the house, work out of the garage, and just supplement her income. And so that was the idea of like wanting to have some type of entrepreneur like business. And I finally sourced a happens to be the largest organic white rice grower and mill in the States. And I sent them a sample and I said, hey, can you replicate this for me? They sent me one, no good. Sent me the next one. The second one, I was like, this is perfect, right? Cooks consistently. It's not powder. It's not a large grain. And I said, okay, I went to a manufacturer. I said, can you flavor this for me? And no, like I said, I want it, it's organic rice, so I want natural sweeteners, natural flavors, etc. And it was a home run, the first flavor. And from there, I was already working for Nutrex Research within the industry. I was a territory rep. I had previously been with Gaspari and competing, working in the industry. I had a lot of relationships across, the category, and we decided to try, give it a try. Like in what had kind of spawned, like, so PRIDE stands for personal responsibility in delivering excellence. We use natural flavors, natural sweeteners like organic rice, etc. I had grown to have all that pushing I did in the 7 years. I developed some digestive issues, some pretty severe digestive issues. And I couldn't get any doctor to really figure out what was going on. So I had to do elimination diet myself. I had to read a bunch of books to figure out. And through the process of educating myself, I realized the importance of sourcing, and then even like how important the soil is to the food and all these different things, right? A big granola. And so I wanted to make a product that fit that category as well. And so that's where the acronym comes from, the military background as well, kind of, stepping in there. And I love lions, but, well, I think they're awesome. Cool, I guess. But, I can't tell you the history or anything, awesome about them. And so that sparked it. And we ran with it. We, had 5 flavors and unflavored, which was my wife's idea, which was a great idea, by the way. And with our connections in the industry, we started warehousing out of our garage, and have been growing it ever since.
That's awesome, man. I don't think I ever knew that story myself. Talk about early struggles. I mean, we've all been there. I mean, anybody that starts up a business kind of goes through the same growing pains at different stages, if you will. But what were some of the like early struggles and defining moments that made you almost double guess, or like double guess? Sorry, tongue tied. Double think what you were doing, like second guess what you were doing. Like, holy shit, I don't know if I can get through this.
There were some early ones, and what I'm realizing now is that here recently we're in some of the same ones, and they're not pains as pain points. You'll realize this. I'm sure you've had them where you're like, what am I doing? But it's like, can I do this? Because the company is looking at a mountain to scale with the evidence that we built, that it's ready to go, or everything's there, the numbers, Amazon, these new products that we have coming in, all these different things that we need to like really, getting from wherever we are now to this next earmark is, from what I've been told, like one of the hardest parts of a company, right? You're making enough money to like, okay, but you're not making enough to start to scale. And you're in this really sticking point. So we're there now. And the other day and I have one before that, but the other day I was like overwhelmed, all this stuff, we're short staffed, I should say. And I was like, this is where people second guess yourself. This is where people like they don't have the fortitude that they fold, and because starting to place bigger POs, there's a few more zeros on these orders, right? Like all these different things. Bag orders are now looking at like $50,000, 50,000 unit bag orders. All these different things. Like, crap, do I know what I'm doing enough to do this? Like, what's going on? And I've got a few screws missing upstairs that like, yeah, I'll figure it out, right?
Yeah,
but I recognized it.
I don't think you'd be normal as an entrepreneur if you didn't have them loose. You know what I mean?
Right. And early on, it was forecasting / inventory. So we had some issues with manufacturing, getting our product. We had to wait 16 and 18 months respectively for 2 orders. I sourced the rice, I sourced the bag. So you're talking sugar, sweetener, some salt, right? And I get that there were issues with getting supplies and vendors, but not 16 and 18 months worth. So drastically delayed us to where we had to stop selling to retail. We pulled off of Amazon. We pulled all bundles out. We were just selling, single bags to try and like stop the bleeding as much as possible until we got a product in. I had just signed a lease on a new warehouse, and we were sitting there with one pallet. I just hired a new employee, and we're sitting there. I can hold probably 160 pallets, and we have one pallet, and it's broken down. And like I told him, I said, hey man, I'm really frugal. So like you're gonna get paid. Just like sweep the floor, like clean, make sure the place is clean. We're gonna get this figured out, right? And my problem was I just stayed loyal to that manufacturer too long, hoping that the product would come. And that was a real struggle, and especially it's one thing just to like not have product and not sell, but the demand was there. One of the reasons that we were so low outside of the manufacturing issue is because of COVID. Rice sales had like 10x everywhere. People were wanting to stockpile. People wanted this, so we were like, it just end over end started to come out from underneath us, right? So to be able to see that, like we're literally missing out on what could be millions, right? Just like that was a struggle, but obviously we prevailed.
Awesome. So one of the things I want to point out is the CPG space, which is I think the category that you're in.
Yep.
Like I don't think that people understand how hard of a business that is. It's very cash heavy. You have to have a lot of cash up front just to stay afloat, just to keep running, to place those POs that you were talking about. We struggle with it too. And we didn't actually venture into the CPG space in clean eats until, less than 5 years ago. And we started out with 2 bars, scrapped those, reformulated them into a whole completely different line. But you mentioned the number of like single SKUs you have to buy. That's very common in that space. I think that's why people struggle with it. And they're very, very difficult businesses to run, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, like that's where we're at now. We have pancake and waffle mix coming out, and organic white rice, organic sweet potato, right? We have another sub line of rice and grounds coming out, and I'm just like, what did I do? Like they're like, oh, just the management of the bags alone is a job, right? Just the bags, not anything else. And then the money that goes into it, it's good. I want to do it. Like I'm at the point now where personally I'm ready to face on those challenges where previously the younger version of me I would have done it, but there would have been too much chaos in the other parts of my life that are very, very
Sure.
important to me as well. So I'm ready for it, but yeah, man, it's, and it especially like bootstrapping it, right? Like it's all been money that we put into the company to start, and then it's just bootstrapped itself.
Well, I think that's what, in my opinion, again, I think that's what separates the people in the CPG space that do a very good job. I'm talking smaller players, not your big conglomerates, but like startups and entrepreneurial based businesses who are never, I don't want to say they're throwing shit to the wall to see what sticks, but they're always trying something new to see if it works. I mean, we do that all the time. We still do that at Clean Eats. I mean, we'll develop a product, we'll run it, we'll get the minimum amount of SKUs or minimum amount of purchase order that we need. We'll test it. We'll run all the numbers. We'll get customer feedback. And if it doesn't work, we'll scrap it. And I mean, I think I see a lot of smaller companies try this and then, they get bad reviews or people will complain or, like, why are they trying to do this product or that product? And I try to explain it to them the best that I can. I'm like, hey, they're entrepreneurs, man. They're going to try different things and things are going to come and they're going to go. And, if you find something that you like and it disappears, it's probably because they ran testing on it, they got customer feedback and that, or they just couldn't afford to keep running it, period.
Yeah, we had these, and I can't believe, like, if you would have talked to a younger version of myself, especially in business, would have been like, you did what? Like the amount of money that we spent on our bars and the fact that they're not around anymore. I can't believe that, like, I mean, it's six figures that, like, we tried these bars. We were running out of the cream of rice at the time, and I was like, I have something to sell. And like an idiot, I was like, don't go to a new manufacturer. Just run these new bars. That don't go to something that's proven. Go to something that's not, right? Just
Right.
A young mind didn't know much, and they were great, but they needed tweaks. And it was the wrong time. We didn't have the proper sales channels, right? Like doing it now versus then, it has a potential for more success now, right? But I can't, like, the younger version of me would have been like, you idiot, what are you, like, what are you doing,
Yeah, but
right?
that's how you learn. You
But
know,
it's how you learn. Exactly. Yeah. Now that is like education, because that's going to prevent me from doing X that would potentially cost more down the road.
we went through the same thing. We do it on our supplement side. The food, like snack item thing for us is like, that's our wheelhouse, the food based products. But, we have a meal replacement protein. We don't sell it to retailers, maybe a few, but we don't market it to retailers. It's in all of our restaurants, but predominantly it's for our owners to use in our smoothies. Great formula, very clean, but we're not a supplement company. And the only other powder product that we mess around with is our superfoods. And I've always said, we're not going to mess around in the performance based, sector. That's not us. That's not our brand. But we've learned so many hard lessons just in those few products that we've played around with. And like you said, we've thrown away six figures easily per SKU, trying to test these and run different flavors, different variations of it, until you finally land on what works. But it's very difficult.
Yeah. Very, very, very humbling.
So, is there any lessons from bodybuilding? And I put this question in there purposely because it resonates with me. But is there any lessons from bodybuilding and competing and doing those things in your younger life that you still use, that it kind of apply to running a business outside of discipline? That's the biggest one for me. But outside of discipline.
Consistency. I mean, it's across the board on anything, right? Like, there's certain, like, and I even fight with myself. There's certain parts of me that want these things done like now, like, why aren't we doing this? Where should we here? We're here, and like, it's just consistency and patience. I know you said one, but they those go hand in hand, right? Like that, and I get it. I'm saying that, and bodybuilding, I was consistent. Patience, I had patience, and it was only six. I say only 6 years, but nonetheless, it's like every day, every waking hour, essentially, right? That went into that. But with business wise, the same thing, because we've had some opportunities to potentially go into positions where it's too big for our britches, right? With like FDM channels and whatnot that could really put a strain on the business. And so it's just being patient, where when the time comes, we will be better prepared to weather whatever comes. But more so, I will be better prepared to weather whatever comes, and then be in the position that I need to be personally and mentally for the team that we have, for the company, for my family, etc. Because the way that we do run it is like, I'm here at the house. I run the company from the house. We homeschool our kids, and so I need to make sure that I'm here, business, and then I'm dad, and I
Yeah.
toggle back and forth between the two. And so consistency and patience, man. That's across the board, right? That's like with parenting, that's with bodybuilding, that's with business, relationships, and it's kind of like, it's taught me the lesson the hard way.
No, I get it. The only one I would add, and this is me, and I would assume you would agree with me. I just have that underdog mentality. I always have. Even when I was competing in bodybuilding, I didn't have the greatest genetics. I think I tapped my natural genetics best that I could, for as long as I could. But even in business, in the space that we're in, we were one of the first to do what we are doing. But now they're everywhere, and now companies have exploded far past us. I mean, there's food companies out there, prepackaged meal companies that are 3-4x the size that we are. And so I've always still, even today, I still have that kind of underdog mentality where, you might have more money, you might have more backing, but you're not going to outwork me. Like, I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep going at it until you literally knock me down. I can't get back up. But just having that almost chip on your shoulder, I guess, or
Sure.
that underdog mentality where I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. I had that really, really big in bodybuilding. Really big. I wouldn't tell anybody I was competing. I would just show up, like I just wanted to come in, and like kind of like a dark horse underdog. And the funny thing is, you mentioned that, I do agree, because now with Pride, we were the first and only to do a flavored and organic simultaneously cream of rice back in 2019, 18 when I launched, 19 when we officially launched. And since then, this number feels like it grows every time, but there's probably 30 competitors worldwide now that do cream of rice. And I just caught wind that probably I wouldn't say competitor, sure competitor, but another big company here in the States that has connections to a overseas company, they are getting ready to do a cream of rice as well. And so we've had a lot of competition come up. We do a very good job on our customer service standpoint, where we have a point of contact with them through a CRM, and we're texting them. They're texting us, what have you. And so what I'm getting at is we have a lot of hands-on communications with them, and a lot of our customers. So I'm sure they're not all, but a lot of our customers praise our flavor, our consistency, our texture. And these other companies, the advertising that been doing, we're still pretty organic. We're not pushing really heavy on any type of ads, maybe capturing a few here and there. And we're growing end over end what it seems to be from the advertising spend on the other companies, specifically Amazon. Our Amazon for the past, feels like 7 or 8 months, has grown 20 to 30% month over month to our largest sales channel without any advertising whatsoever on our end. And
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's just that underdog, yeah, man, I get it, because like all these guys are popping up, right? And they're a little bit bigger than us, but that's all right. That's all right. We're still innovative. We got some new stuff coming.
So you started to go down a road which was going to be kind of the next segment I wanted to get into, but strategies and like standing out in a crowded market. Talk about some of the things that you guys have done. You just mentioned your customer service is a big one. That's a big one for us. We have to, or we're going to get pummeled by these bigger companies. So that's staying. What's the word I'm looking for? Just making sure that our customer service stands out above people that we compete with. But outside of that, what are some strategies that you guys have used to kind of keep going? You said you didn't spend a lot on marketing, but man, you're doing a hell of a job of what you're doing, because you're on my feed every other time I get on Instagram. I see your ad, so I'm like, man, they're doing really good.
Thank you. Yeah, man. I think one of the biggest things, and I'd be lying if it hadn't like crossed my mind a couple of times to waver or change just from a cost standpoint, but pride, personal responsibility, and delivering excellence, right? So the best product ingredients that we can use for the products. And there have been times where it's like, well, we can save this on this, right? We can use this on this, and it's like, I'm not entirely like saying that's bad. I'm just saying standing by what we have created and not wavering from that. For example, with the pancake and waffle mix that we have coming out, it's organic white rice, organic sweet potato. The macros are phenomenal. It's great. If you don't think that organic rice and that organic sweet potato are expensive, it's aluminum-free baking soda, right? Like the best ingredients. But standing by at which we make, because our customers, the evidence shows that our customers want that, right? Yep. And so standing by those things has been big for us. And I just can't, I know we talked about it already, and the customer service side of it, we use the CRM, and I mean, we're texting customers their first order. We're following up to make sure they got it on time, if there's any issues, and we're like, and it's actually even a phone number from our area code. And so it's not like this weird number from 866 whatever. So they're talking to real people, and utilizing some of the automation along with that. So, because obviously texting every person individually at first would be hard, but everything's automated, and then it's a personal response back. That's been a huge game changer. And it's not a guess, right? The customers are saying that. So, standing by what initially started the company, the brand, and then giving that quality service, man, those things have been, and they will continue to set us apart as well.
Yeah, and I think that, companies like yours and mine are going to continue to have that struggle where you mentioned almost second guessing like quality of ingredients, right? We battle with that right now. Like we have, 120 owners open and operating, and we get asked all the time, why can't we use this type of chicken versus the one that we're using? It's cheaper. And our answer is always quality. we kind of stand on the fact that we use as quality ingredients as we can, without, on our end, we don't market, organic, grass fed, all of that. We try to stay kind of neutral, almost Switzerland, if you will. But our chicken is proprietary. I mean, it's a customized, formulated, um, all natural chicken breast that we have specially made for us. And, they get frustrated with us at times. We're like, Chipotle is using, greasy chicken thighs. Customers love it. So why can't we do it? And I'm like, we're not Chipotle.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've got core values that we stand on, and trying to find that happy medium to where dying on a hill, do you want to die on a hill over a quality of product or lose customers over it? You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's always a constant battle.
Yeah. We've got something coming mid-October that is going to, because the biggest thing is trying to hold that line and then meet customers where they are. And so we do have something coming that is in meeting those customers where they are. What I mean by that is like the product's expensive, right? The way that
Sure.
it's made, it's an expensive product to make. And so making a product that is going to be value driven, and still hits some of those identifiers. And that will be in mid-October. I'll tell you offline on it, but
Sure.
it's pretty fun. Bags have been ordered, products been ordered, and it's going to be a little bit more of a playful product, but it's going to meet those customers that are more value focused than they are quality focused. And so kind of do the best of both worlds there.
Nice. So you mentioned, we talked about your wife a minute ago. Does she have any involvement in the business at all? Does she kind of get involved on the operational end or any kind of day to day?
Just making sure my head doesn't fall off too many times. Yeah, I involve her. I mean, she's helped, big sales like Black Friday and all these things like that. And she's helped unload. When we first started, we had to break down pallets and load them into the garage. I could hold 15 pallets on the shelves in the garage. And so she helped, a lot of stuff there as both startups. But in regards to like day to day, I bounce ideas off of her, or suggestions, or she'll try some new stuff and R&D and stuff. But as far as day to day now, she's luckily we've been in a position to. So she worked for Anheuser-Busch for about a decade, and she grew to the high end new business director here in Oklahoma. But the grinds were going in opposite directions. The gears were going in opposite directions for a while. She wanted to exit. It just wasn't supporting kind of what she wanted to do. And
Sure.
The environment wasn't the best. Right. And so July 4th of last year. So this July 4th was a year. She was able to step away from Anheuser full time. And so now she's at home. We homeschool the kids. So she's doing that. There's a few other things that she's working on as well. But we've been grateful to be in this position to where she could step away, kind of return the favor for her, her work, the first half of it.
No, the reason that I asked was, and Yvonne, this is why I asked the question. Yvonne and I get this all the time is, the couple dynamic, right? Running a business with your spouse, what is it like in reality versus the way you guys portray it? And I answer the question, what you see is what you get. Like, we have our ups and downs just like everybody else. The way that we've always been able to make it work is she has her lane, I have mine. We don't rarely ever cross. What she's good at, I suck at, and vice versa. So I just didn't know if, how much involvement day to day. And if you guys ever gotten any like tiffs, or like you guys went at it over the business at times, because we have, but I've been very fortunate. My wife's a great partner, inside and outside the business. But
yeah, no, Jess, as we started to add a few more players here, and she's been able to step in and say, hey, when you're having your meetings, you need, because I don't know anything about leadership. I don't know anything about like having employees. And so she at least has the background from working in her position where she did have people that were, reporting to her. She was getting things from meetings and such like that. So she would step in, and she gave me some really good advice on like, hey, giving the vision, right? Being very transparent, what's going on, having these recurring meetings and such like that. And so she's helped tremendously in that regards. The only I don't think too many tips, just because I'm so hands on and she's so hands off, like on the day to day, that right, like if I say, oh, this needs to be done or I got to do this, she's understanding. I know there was one time, I think it was here recently, I was kind of flustered or frustrated or something, and she was giving some insight, and I was like, and I may have said something like, no, yeah, I know you would have said that or something. I was like, I just need you to be like mom right now. I need you to be wife. Like, don't like, I don't, and not, I was almost like, I didn't want to talk about that at all. My brain was just like done with it. And I was like, I don't want that part of like our relationship right now. I just need you to be mom and wife. Like, let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
But luckily, she understood, like, cause the way I said it was pretty, it wasn't harsh.
In the moment.
Yeah.
Do you guys have your own like little, I guess I'll call them boundaries for lack of a better word? Like when you talk about home life versus business, are there any like definitive boundaries that you guys set? Like an example I'll use is Yvonne and I do our best. We're not perfect at it, and it's definitely not as consistent as what we would like it to be. But, we always try 7:00, the switch turns off, right? Like we've got to be a married couple at some point. We don't,
Sure.
so do you guys have anything like that you?
Man, I've wanted to. The boundaries have been, difficult given that like the house is right there as a sidewalk and this is here. And then we've got like the full gym, the sauna, the ice. I've got the kids gymnastics. And so it's like, it's very easily can get like muddied water, and that's not a bad thing, just murky. Like you can't see, the clear lines. We've gotten better of integrating it all into one and understanding. And I can't, honestly, I can't take too much credit because I'm still a little bit of a fire sale. She's the one that will recognize that, like, oh crap, like he's frustrated from work or he's frustrated from this, and like he's still in that mode, right? And so she'll be more understanding or receptive to that, and so she'll like help maybe a little bit more with the kids where I'm trying to figure these things out. And so I oftentimes, I don't know if this is right, but oftentimes I feel like I'm at that point where I haven't earned the right to like turn that off yet, right? Because especially right now with so much going on, we've got so much work on these. We're doing a rebrand with the new bags that we're launching and everything, and so it's like there's so much going on that I'm like right now is the season that I can't turn it off. I can't have those boundaries set, but they're there sometimes. Yeah.
No, I get it. Trust me. Last question before I get into some like fun like quick fire questions.
Sure.
What do you want Pride Foods to stand for? Like if you could look out 5 years, the company's grown to, X amount. At the end of the day, when people think about it, what do you want it to stand for? I got asked that question the other day, and I'm going to be honest with you. I stared at him for about 30 seconds before I could answer it.
Yeah.
It was a difficult question, so I was like, I'm going to throw that one in there.
I think it's twofold for me. It's for the customers, but also for the people that have had our back. You would say employees, people that work with us, whether they're contracting. And we're very, like, I've got 2 guys that essentially I contract, and I've got Alfonso, my right-hand man, who works with us, and myself. And while creating a product and a brand that people can trust, that people will put their hard money into, and they value purchasing the product and feeding it to not only themselves, but their entire family. A lot of these companies that have popped up, they're specific. They're wanting to focus just on like bodybuilders or fitness. We don't have that forward facing on the brand for a reason, right? We're food for everybody. I don't care if you're 2 months or 20 years or 40 years, everybody in between 70 years on. And a lot of our customer base is that. And so we want to make that product to where people trust what they're getting, they value what they're getting, they value the company, and simultaneously, I want to create an environment where these people that work with us, very specifically on saying work with us, it's not just a paycheck. I'm helping them in whatever fashion I can from a personal level, based off of my experiences in life. I can help and come and um, be a leader that where I can just hold the space and help them out whatever they need help with, but also they can bust their ass and help that company with that larger mission forward facing, and then in turn the company can help them in everything, including a paycheck, right? And so um, it doesn't need to be giant for that to happen, right? But I don't want that to ever lose sight. So if those two things are continuously growing, right, then the company at scale, we can do that from both standpoints. But I don't want one to go without the other.
Sure. That was a good answer. You actually sparked another question that I have, and I meant to ask it earlier. I apologize. So you said you have, do you have one or two full-time employees?
Just me and my right-hand man, Alfonso.
Do you ever struggle with leading, like just overall leadership? I mean, I know it's one guy, but we were there. So I mean, and to be honest with you, we have, man, probably 225 employees brand wide all over the country.
Sure.
And it's still one of the hardest things for me to do because I'm just so used to, prior to Clean Eats, I was in construction and then even bodybuilding. It was a one-man show. All I had to worry about was myself.
Yeah.
And so just kind of staying on top of, getting better as a leader is still very difficult for me. I have to work at it. Do you struggle with the same thing, even though like you said, you got a right-hand guy, but leading is leading, whether it's one or 100.
Sure. Yeah. And the guys that work with us, I mean, they're, technically would be, you could call it full-time with their contract, but they're also remote. So that's a lot of different, right? Alfonso, he's local. He works from kind of wherever he wants to, but we do meet and we get a lot of FaceTime. We're going on a family trip to 30A in Florida, and he's going to come. We're bringing him with us, and he's come a few times. So we get a lot of FaceTime. All that to say that, but initially I had a really, really hard time leading.
It's different if you've never done it.
Yeah,
very, very difficult to learn.
And
I don't think it ever changes.
For that one-to-one mentality, right? Like from bodybuilding, that was difficult for me to divorce that ideology and then come over here and I can't just do this like the same way. And I will say that I've gotten the reason that it's gotten easier. I don't know if it's the word to say, but more clear of a vision on how to lead is because I've done a lot of personal work myself the past, let's call it 4 years, to the school of unlearning. I think what a lot of people that are way smarter than me coin it as. And so even our friend Teach, who's been actually very, very helpful in that regards, to where being a leader it comes much easier now. And it just comes much easier because I'm less stuck in old patterns and all
Sure.
all this garbage, to where that I can be present, to be a leader, to hear what does this person need, how can I help. And a lot of times it's really just listening.
Yep.
And I do have 40 years now of experience on this earth. I have 2 kids, businesses, all these different, so I have perspective to offer whenever this, and it's not always going to be a young individual, but this younger individual comes to me. I've got a little bit more wear and tear on these tires where I can offer some of that. And what I will say is that being in that position to where I'm accepting that and I'm wanting it and I'm seeing it, putting those people in that position has helped me tremendously. It's helped us like take stuff off my plate to where I'm less chaotic. There's less noise inside of me. It's doing better for the customers, like all around. It's better. And so I see the benefits of like putting really good people in these positions, being a really good leader, and then watching that just grow over time.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest struggles for me, it's easy to put the business first and the brand first above yourself, but then it's hard to like right after that start thinking about yourself again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost selfish, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I still struggle with, making sure that the people that run my business with me day to day, that I'm paying attention to what they are saying, what their needs are, what their goals are. Man, that is so different. And I still, it's a daily struggle for me, man, every day. with just getting mental block or, just all in all, just not paying attention and recognizing patterns with employees or anything. It's difficult, man. And I've come to realize that I don't think that's ever going to change. No matter how big we get, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, before we wrap it up, what's one hot take that you've got? Could be anything. Doesn't matter. Just one quick hot take.
I'm gonna.
A hot take is like an opinion on something, like good, bad, indifferent, otherwise, whatever. We do these in another segment of a show that we do, and they're fun as hell to do. I just wanted to throw one in there.
Man, you got me stumped. I don't know. I mean, I have opinions about everything. I don't know which one is the best one to go with. What's relevant in my head as well?
Well, just use bodybuilding. That's a good one. So what's your take on the sport right now and where it's at versus 10 years ago?
I don't want to I don't want to sound like that old guy. Like, oh, back in my day, these kids. Yeah. But I'm so far behind. There's all these different people are using all these different. They're just letters and numbers. I don't know what the heck they are. Peptides or I don't even know. I just and I took my fair share of stuff as well, but I couldn't keep up. I don't know if I bodybuild. I'm too dumb back then to bodybuild with all the modern things that people were taking these days.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to figure it out.
It's so crazy.
I'd be watching a clock waiting to take a shot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So that's quite a bit going on. I'm still a fan. I'm still watching some of the guys, and we work with a lot of them, but man, I don't know. I don't miss it. Let's just say that.
The beauty of it for me, man, is, I grew up a huge fan of the sport, obviously. And I grew up watching guys like yourself, and all the pros that competed in the early 2000s, and never really got to know any of them. I met a few of them at shows and things like that, but I feel like I've gotten closer and become better friends with some of these guys after I was done competing through business, because a lot of them have gone on to start businesses of their own, and our paths just connected. Like Seth Feroce, that dude is unbelievable guy, man. When I talk to him, it's hard not to have a smile on your face. That guy's so funny. But I think for me, the difference is I think I've been to a couple local shows here recently that we've sponsored just locally in the area, and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to be nice. The shape that some of these guys are showing up in now, it's almost like they don't have to come in as good a shape as we did, because they have social media. It's almost like they're competing for a different reason. We competed because we wanted to go through the process. We could give a shit less about the show and that sort of thing. And I think they're doing the same thing, but they're doing it for clicks, for likes on Instagram.
Yeah.
We didn't have that.
You bring up a good point, right? Like, so if you're looking at like, the only time that I'm going to get really seen is going to be on stage. So I got to be my absolute best. Whereas if somebody is on the process, sharing pictures, updates throughout and they're able to manipulate light, or I look the best here. And trust me, I've taken pictures after I worked out, right? Because that's the best. I pumped up, I look good, right? And
it's the only time I take them.
But so if they're sharing that consistently along their process, they're getting that, whether it's dopamine or they're getting the likes, right? They're getting a micro dose of it the entire way. So if they come to the stage, it's not that big of a deal. Whereas like I was definitely afraid of showing up and being like just fat, like out of shape. So much so that I would wait until the last possible day to register for the show, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be ready. Every single show I did, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be ready. And like 2 weeks prior, I was like, all right, I'll be ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. This was awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you, find your business?
Yeah, pridefoods.org. On Amazon, Pride Foods. We do really well there. And my Instagram is Shuan.a.Vasquez, and Pride Foods is the Pride Foods.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, brother.
All right, guys. Till next time.